And joining us here on the Jason Walker Show.
It's freaking exhausting, too. You used to dance a lot more. Yeah, I know, lady. I'm 51 years old now.
The NAI Hall of Famers, Mike Van Diest, joining us here, Jason Walker Show. And is it just a deal where quarterbacks have to be good golfers?
Well, that's all they have time for. They don't work out. They don't lift weight. They don't do anything else. They might as well go get on the golf course and at least have some fun.
And from across the country,
Doug Gottlieb, our guest here on the Jason Walker Show.
End of the day, remember, it's your show. It's got your name on it.
Howie Mandel, our guest here.
Jason Walker, deal or no deal?
The Jason Walker Show, broadcasting from the Major Mortgage Man Cave. Here's Jason Walker.
Oh, happy Thursday, the Jason Walker Show, Major Mortgage Man Cave. It has been an eventful day today, on especially on the social media. Fun stuff. Oh my gosh, I have never been threatened to get hit so much in my life as I was today on social media. Oh goodness. Anyway, big show today. We're gonna MHSA made some news today. Big Sky made some news today. The NCAA made some news today. We'll talk about all of that coming up. Also on this day in history, the walk-off presented by Cafe Zydeco. And Amanda Robertson will join us. She is a professional golfer trying to get on the LPGA Tour. But it's just to break up the monotony of all this COVID stuff and all of this just negativity. Wanted to have a guest on that is trying to do something awesome in her life and her career. So we'll talk to Amanda Robertson coming up. From California, she will join us. I believe a tournament down there. So that's all coming up. We have our daily COVID update and, some news out of Utah, coming up as well, which I hate to say it, folks, but it's going to affect Montana and before we know it. But here's our daily COVID update. 142 new cases reported, 37 new ones in Yellowstone County. They're up to 546. They were up to 600 plus, and then as numbers drop off and others, Bighorn County is actually down to 189, which is better. 41 Gallatin County, 55 Lewis and Clark, 58 Cascade. Missoula County starting to see its numbers go up, 111 active cases, 49 in the Flathead Valley, so it's coming down. And 64 at Phillips. They went from 0 to 68. They're down to 64 now. 81 deaths, unfortunately. 101 currently in the hospital. 1,389 active cases, which is down dramatically the last couple of days. For almost 200 active cases down. And more than 3,935 have recovered, 3,937 to be exact. So that's good news and wonderful news, as a matter of fact. All right, so let's see. There's our COVID update. Let's get to the rest of this. You can watch live on Facebook anytime. You can also at the facebook.com/The Jason Walker Show. You can tweet us at JWalkerSports or at Jason Walker Show. You can YouTube watch us, search The Jason Walker Show. Listen, Podbean, Network One Sports. Also, anytime you need anything, JasonWalkerShow.com. That's the website. And if you want to email us, you can, JasonWalkerSports@gmail.com. And like I said, I threw out the challenge again on social media. I put a lot of questions out on social media that I want responses to and answers to. And when I challenge someone or they challenge me, it becomes a good conversation for the most part. There are a couple of, there's one in particular, internet bully, but other than that, I don't worry about him. But when you look at it and I say, hey, come on the show, that's not, as Tim said, you're begging for guests. No, I want people to come on the show and express their opinions. I have lots of guests, Tim. I don't need to beg for guests. But come on the show and let's have discussions. Let's talk like civilized human beings if we disagree. Or we can agree. It doesn't, it's fine. All right, so the Big Sky Conference officially today came out and moved all the fall sports to the spring, officially. That includes cross country, soccer, volleyball's a big one. Now, you knew this was coming when you look at the last week. When you look at Eastern Washington, for instance, as a university, last week they made earlier this week, I guess, they made the announcement that they're moving all their fall sports this spring no matter what. Everything was postponed no matter what. Well, that kind of forced the Big Sky's hand because they want Eastern Washington to participate in fall sports. And we know football's already in the spring, potentially. That's not a guarantee, folks. And that's one, they can play a triangular or those days, actually be a quad-angular between the Helena and Kalispell schools, for instance, where instead of having that overnight where normally you'd play a Friday against Glacier and then the next day against Flathead or vice versa, but you're able to play both. It's like softball. When softball travels up and they play on a Saturday and they play one school and then the next. So we can do that with volleyball in the AA and other classifications too. So that has been answered. Golf will go on as scheduled. All meets reduced to 1 day. We knew that. Cross country's limited to conference competition. They also, MHSA approved to reduce the Class A's football playoffs from 12 to 8, scheduled to start October 30th and end November 14. The top 4 teams in the East and the West will go. We talked, remember, to Kyle Mihelish and Scott Evans about the playoffs in AA. That's not decided yet. MHSA, as we mentioned, allows Class A, B, and C to cancel non-conference games if they choose to do so. They don't have to. The AA already wanted to. So this is interesting, though. The Class AA athletic directors have a proposal that was tabled to move football to the spring. And that is because we don't know the 50-person limit from Governor Steve Bullock's reopening plan. And Kyle Mihelish talked about it the other day. AA schools, is that 50 on each sideline? Is it 50 in general? Is it, can we have fans? Can we not? Nobody knows. So the governor's office is also being consulted about a waiver to the rule of having AA not have both offensive, defensive players. Majority of the Class AA ADs voted in favor of playing football in the spring, but keeping golf, cross country, and volleyball in the fall. Tennis then would play in the fall. Here's my bigger question, and that's great. We're trying to get these kids all the seasons and all the opportunities they can have. But if you're moving football, and all the talk is about football, why are any of these other sports less interested? Or less interesting? Why do they not mean as much? If they're so concerned about, and this goes not just high school, but up to college as well. If you're so concerned about COVID and have to have football played in the spring, what does that say to your other sports like golf, cross country, volleyball, and apparently tennis in the AA? That your sport doesn't matter as much, and if you get sick, it's okay, as long as we get a football season. Does anybody else picking up on this, or is it just me? It's like the Frontier, and we're going to talk about this later in the show, but the Frontier is adamant about playing football this fall, but they moved all their other sports to the spring. Why? Why? You see where I'm getting at here? You're telling other sports they don't matter as much as long as we get football. Masks also are going to be required for everybody, coaches, players, and officials, regardless of if they're a county of 4 or more active cases. You do not have to wear a mask while you play, but you have to wear one on the bench. And coaches have to wear one all the time. If someone gets COVID, they cannot return to play until he or she is evaluated by a licensed healthcare professional and is written clearance to return to play by both the county health department and a licensed healthcare professional. So that's MHSA. And I got to tell you, I don't see a season happening. I'd love to see it. Absolutely would love to see sports this fall. And Kevin on Facebook just brought up an interesting point, too. If you move football to the spring in high school, think about the basketball players that play football. How about baseball? How about baseball players? If you move football to the spring, there's a lot of guys that not only play football, that play baseball. How does that affect? How does that come into play? There's a lot of still unanswered questions. And I go back to what I've been saying the last couple of months. Yes, it sucks. But what if we just drop sports for a year? Jeff Choate said we'd survive without football for a year. This is a guy that's been in football for 42 years of his life. What if we just drop sports for the whole year? I know Legion got through with it, and that's great. Legion, awesome. But there's not as many kids in Legion as there would be on a AA football squad. And then you ask about JV. There wouldn't be any JV. Volleyball, and then other sports don't have as many kids. But if football can have fans, why can't volleyball? You see, there's a lot of, when you get to the college level, you could see Title IX come into play. And at the high school level as well. But we'll chat more about it later in the show because I want to get our next guest on the air, and she will join us next. Her name is Amanda Robertson. She is a professional golfer. She's a superstar in the making, and we'll talk to her next here on The Jason Walker Show. Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender. Do you love to look at photos of Montana, from animals to landscapes and more? Are you looking for a place to get your senior pictures or family portraits done? Are you a business owner looking to upgrade the decor in your offices? Well, look no further than Mark LaRoe Photography. Mark has been shooting beautiful photos all across the Treasure State, from rodeos to portraits, and would love to work with you. Visit marklaroephotography.com to see many masterpieces of his work, then give him a call to schedule your own photo shoot. Or to purchase one of his fantastic pieces, stop by Spirit of the Big Sky Gallery on Custer in Helena. marklaroephotography.com. Yes, it's true that Montana is a long way from the Gulf Coast, but you can bring that Cajun flavor home with a stop at Cafe Zydeco. From po' boys to classic sandwiches, Cafe Zydeco has all the best Cajun in town. Are you in the mood for seafood gumbo or crawfish etouffee? Maybe you're craving jambalaya with some shrimp and grits. Head in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or call ahead for pickup or delivery. Cafe Zydeco will fix all your southern cravings, even on a chilly Montana day. Cafe Zydeco is a proud sponsor of The Jason Walker Show.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $289. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
Welcome back on a Thursday inside the Major Mortgage Man Cave, Jason Walker Show. Having a great time. We're going to talk more about MHSA and more of what I was talking about with moving seasons around and how is it fair to some sports and not others? And then what about fans in the stands? Some schools can have them, other schools can't. How fair is that? So we'll talk about that coming up as well. Also on this day in history and a whole lot more on the way. But I want to welcome in our first guest today, joining us via the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. She is a professional golfer. Did I lose her? Did we lose her? I think she was there. She was there. Her name is Amanda Robertson, and I think she dropped out for a sec. We'll get to Amanda here in a second while we wait for Amanda to get on board here and hop back on. We will. There we go. We got her.
Got me.
There is Amanda. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am wonderful. So you're from. Here's the. Okay. Missoula County, for instance, they can't have fans in the stands. But right now, it appears that Helena, Glacier, Kalispell, other schools can't. Is that fair? And it's a question I posed on the Twitter last night, and it blew up, as any question I put up does. But is that fair to have fans in some stands and not others? And I don't think it is. It's a competitive advantage for one. Now, if you're all about rules and equality, and especially in high school where, competitive advantage is supposed to be spread out evenly, how fair is that? And I know we can't rely on just a city county health department. I get that. But hey, we got Amanda back. So we'll go back to what I was talking about as we bring back Amanda Robertson. All right. You're in a hotel in California. It's like Hotel California.
Sorry for terrible reception.
Oh, no worries. Just have you turn me down just a touch, if that's okay. Hey, so are you there in town for a tournament or?
No, it's actually a non-golf related trip, which is great.
Nice. So a little vacation type thing.
Kind of, yeah. Helping out my family with their company that they own here.
Very nice. You are a youngin', but you're trying to get on the LPGA tour. How has your summer been? Not COVID stuff.
It's been a challenge with golf. On the personal side of playing, but also on the side of trying to run a business that solely works off golf course charity events. So it's been a challenge, but it's given me a lot of time to kind of work on my game and stay fresh and keep doing what I'm doing.
You're trying to get qualified for the LPGA. So you're going through Q school and all of this. How has that affected this summer?
It's definitely affected so many events that I would have been playing in. I am not playing in.
Oh, man.
So it's really crummy, but it's given me a good time to just focus on myself and actually work on my fitness and work on my game so I can come back even stronger next year.
Where are you based out of? Like, where did you go to school and college and based out of now?
So I am from California, and I went to Pepperdine for college.
Oh, of course, because
so
you get to overlook
Southern
the
California.
ocean.
It's not a bad gig. And then I transplanted to Phoenix, Arizona, kind of on and off about 6 years ago when I started playing professionally. And now I'm there full time.
I am trying to convince the wife to move us to Phoenix. I have a 2-year-old girl, and there's a lot of money in college scholarships, and she doesn't even have to be that good. She just got to shoot in the 90s.
Yeah, honestly, I've had a lot of college coaches come to me and say, if you have any girls that you know of that you can recommend at schools, exactly what you just said. They don't have to be shooting par. They can go to a D2 school and get a full ride scholarship shooting 85.
See, and that's why I'm saying if we grow up or have her grow up on the golf course, she could be a scratch golfer by the time she gets into high school.
I think it's great. If you can make it happen and she's genuinely interested in it, it's a way to go for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Amanda Robertson joining us here. Mike Miller, State Farm Hotline. All right, so what's your handicap right now?
Right now, I'm probably scratch or a 1 maybe, just because I haven't been playing a ton. And I'm kind of, while I'm still playing competitively, I've definitely focused on my company as well. And so building that is a really big passion of mine with my co-owner. And so that pulls away from being able to focus 100% on the tour.
And what is your business?
So we raise money for charities on the golf course. We're called backswing golf events. I own the company with another female tour player, Mackenzie Ling, and we raise money for charities using like the beat the pro, old school fashioned par 3, give me your money.
Gotcha.
So it's been a great 5-year run. So
that's awesome. Amanda Robertson joining us here on the Jason Walker Show.
Amanda Robertson joining us.
You also, I saw a video. You you signed up with what is this, Callus? Tell me this Callus deal, because you use different grips that just tear your hands apart.
Yeah. So I have tried every grip known to man, and now I play with cord grips. So if you've ever swung clubs with cord grips, they tear your hands to bits. And so I have formed really big calluses over the years. But with that, that's not very attractive. Also, if your calluses get too rough, then it's not a good fit. So this new tool, super cheap, super simple, but works. It will shave down your calluses and keep your hands in really good shape for whatever sport you're involved in.
That is awesome, because there's a lot of different people that can use this, whether they're golfers or not.
Yes. There's a lot of times I have people come to me and say, how do you get to that point where your hands don't hurt? And honestly, there's no solution, but had I had this tool during that, I would have been much better off.
So you're trying to get qualified for the LPGA. How tough is that when you look at girls on the Q School or the Symetra Tour? This is a competitive league that I don't think enough people, especially guys across the U.S., realize how important it is, but also, like I said, how big it is.
Yeah, it's definitely competitive. And when you get out there, it's not a lack of talent. It ultimately comes down to who can financially last the journey. So if you can hang in there long enough, you'll get your break. And if you're a good player, you'll make it far. It's just so tough to survive financially. A lot of things are top heavy, and it's hard to get to the big dance floor.
With that, you look at the guys and their minor league tour to be, for instance, they take the top 25 guys every year out of that tour and move them up to get their PGA cards. How does it work with the LPGA and coming out of the Symetra Tour?
So it's pretty similar. For Q School, they take usually the top 10 to 15 that get their card or conditional status. And then it's really hard because not a lot of girls move off the tour. So there's not a lot of openings for new girls. But it's pretty similar to the guys. I know with the guys, they got rid of Q School altogether, and you have to play on the web.com and qualify, or what's called the Corn Ferry Tour now. But for us women, we still have a version. It's called Q Series. It's similar to Q School. It's just structured a little differently, and it's tough. It's the same. You have to earn your stripes to make it.
I had Haley Ostrom on a couple of months ago, and she's in Phoenix area too. She's in the same boat, just trying to qualify and try to make the tour. It's not easy, like you said, because the top players on the tour, and even the top 50 probably, they're going to stay, because they're making enough money on the LPGA tour to live. So it's tough. I'm sorry for that.
Well, once you get to the LPGA and you latch onto a few endorsements, financially you can sustain. Now you have to play well enough to keep your card, but it's like anything. Once you get there, I feel like it's just a smidge easier than when you were trying to get there.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Who do you look up to as a player?
So growing up, I really didn't watch golf, play golf. I started when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
So I was pretty new to the whole world of golf. But once that came along, Annika is a staple, and I feel like it's kind of cliche to mention her, but she's one of the greats. So as far as females, I think she just is all around what golf encompasses.
Yep. No, I completely
And so it's
100%
really,
agree on Annika.
it's great. She's done so much for the game, and that's what we're trying to do, not only with playing, but with our company. But there's so many great girls that I've got to get to know over the years that are just awesome. I look up to living the same dream and the same journey that they've went through as I am.
It's really cool, and you know, I love to watch the women's game because it's not. I don't want it to sound bad, but it's not as powerful as the guys' game. Now, I mean, you still got Lexi and Brooke that can hit it 300 yards and whatnot, but it's a more finesse game, and it's more of, to me, what I go out and play. You know, you got to hit it straight, and that's the rule in any game of golf, but you have to play smart, and I just love the women's game almost more than the guys' game because of that.
Yeah, we definitely have more finesse because we don't have the power that the guys have, but I think we're more relatable. So when I'm teaching students, I have guys come to me that say, I want to swing like Rory. And I'm like, no, you should be trying to swing like Christina Kim. You know, you will never swing like Rory. He is not built like every other human in the world, or a Dustin Johnson or a Tiger Woods. So I try to remind a lot of my guys, it's not a bad idea to watch the women. It's such a great way to get an understanding for tempo and actually using golf shots around the green instead of just overpowering everything.
That is the perfect analogy that I could have, the perfect way to phrase it. And that, you know, it's crazy. So I'm 5'5". I weigh about 175 on a good day. Obviously, I'm not going to have that leverage that somebody like a DJ or DeChambeau has, or these tall, or Lexi for that matter. I'm more of a Brooke Henderson type player. So,
Right.
Is that the swing I want to pattern after?
Definitely. So a great thing to look at is the Bryson DeChambeau debacle that's been going on about him gaining weight and getting bigger and being able to overpower the golf ball. But what I tell people is your frame can only handle what it can handle and what it's used to. So we max out. You can't just gain weight to try to hit it further. It doesn't always work that way. So yes, find somebody comparable and look at tempo. Tempo's the most important, no matter if you're female, pro, amateur, it doesn't matter.
So who do you pattern your swing after?
So I tend to do everything so fast, and so I've had to really channel the Freddie Couples in me.
I like that.
So over my career, I always count on my swing to keep like a smooth tempo. I tend to get a little quick at the top. So if you can find someone that you can kind of mimic at least the backswing and the takeaway to not overpower it, it's the best way to go.
I like that. Amanda Robertson, our guest here, Jason Walker Show. All right, so what's your swing speed?
Now it definitely has gone down. I was injured with a back injury a couple years ago. I used to swing about 98 to 100, and it's definitely down. It's probably 94, 95.
Okay.
But I'm actually playing better, and I've hit the ball better. So speed isn't necessarily everything.
I like. So you are Fred Couples.
I am a Fred Couples now, for sure. Yes. I don't get after it as much. I used to hit the ball 270 off the tee, and I'm nowhere near that anymore. But it hasn't really affected my game.
As long as you have that approach shot. So for me, you know, I can hit a great drive, but then it's that approach shot that is, you know, and I know the money's made around the green with the chipping and the putting, but you can't putt for birdie or par if your approach shot's off the mark. How would you adjust that?
Yeah, approach shot is everything. And that's why when my buddies and I go out and play, my big guy friends that bomb it 320 yards, I look over when they chunk the next shot to the green, and I'm like, nice drive there. So I think it comes down to focusing on the things that mean the most. Like you said, that approach shot is everything. You can't be putting for birdie if you're off the side of the green. So if you can go to the range and practice your approach shots, your irons, yes, your driver sets you up, but that setup means nothing if you can't follow through with it.
Well, the way it was taught to me a few years ago, and I've been golfing a long time, it's starting to get better, but is don't hit your driver so much at the range, because you're only going to use that a handful of times during the round. It is your irons, your long irons, your short irons. Spend a ton of time on. You should be on the chipping green more than you are on the range.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of people that come to me that want lessons or whatnot don't really want to put in the work to create consistency. So that's the hardest thing, to fix somebody that you know is only going to play once a month.
Right. Amanda Robertson, our guest here, Jason Walker Show. All right, what do you play? What's your clubs?
So I'm a Wilson staffer.
Okay.
I love the new design on the company and on their equipment. They're a family-oriented company. They take care of even the small people like me. And they are just all around a great fit for irons especially. They've come a long way in technology.
Do you think, let me ask you this, because I know you're a Wilson girl, but the Callaway has been so impressive the last couple of years with the Epic, the Rogue, the Maverick this year. Have we reached kind of the end of the technological advances that we can do in golf without really just exploding up golf courses and starting all over?
Yeah, so that's a challenge because the technology will never stop getting better. We live in a very advanced world, and I don't see it ever slowing down, but as you've put, we can't really expand golf courses.
Right.
These guys can't hit the ball 450 yards every time. Callaway, Titleist, Wilson, they're all very comparable across the board when it comes to irons. Everybody is in the irons game now. It's not a one-man show.
Right.
I used to be a TaylorMade gal, and I could swing 6 different clubs from 6 different companies in the irons, and they would be very comparable. I can accomplish the same thing. When you start to get into fairway woods and drivers, that's where we see some front-of-the-road horses that step out front and take an outright lead to some of these other companies. And that's why I do not carry 14 Wilson clubs in my bag.
Okay, so what's your driver then?
So my driver has hopped from company to company. I've been with Cleveland. I've been with TaylorMade. I've been with Srixon. I have been all over the map.
Okay.
So I'm actually working on getting a new driver. I'm looking into Callaway. I like the Epic. I think it fits me well, but I haven't dove into the real commitment yet.
Well, I bought a Rogue 2 years ago. I've been playing with the Maverick as a temporarily this summer, waiting to see if I like it. But I haven't played in a month. I was sick, as you know. By the way, how is your cat?
How was what? I'm sorry.
Your caddy.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. Because I know they were sick.
Yes. No, he's doing much better. He's recovered. It was a little scary, but he's great.
So yeah, I haven't played in a month, but I have been using the Maverick. I like it. All right, what ball do you use?
So I'm with Wilson. I was playing their FG Tour, but I just switched to their Duo Professional.
Okay. And let me ask you about technology with the golf balls too, because it's so crazy of where it was even 5 years ago to where it is now. Have we reached the end of that as far as golf balls, or is that still going to grow and be different?
every time I think we've reached the end, they surprise us once again.
Very true.
I definitely know Wilson. They came out with the Duo Pros that have a super soft reaction, but still firm enough to get the distance. So a lot of men that don't want to see the word soft in their golf ball that they're hitting, because they think, oh, I swing like Tiger Woods. They're actually a good candidate for it because the technology is so good. It's not like a soft golf ball used to be 5 years ago.
Well, I think what they like too, Amanda, is with that, like you said, you want the distance, but you have to have that, and you need that softness around the greens, especially from 100 yards in.
Yeah, you definitely need some feel, and you need something that's going to hold. So if you don't know how to create intentional spin, you rely on the golf ball to help you out a little bit.
Right.
And that's why golf ball fittings are so vital. And a lot of people don't really think about how important getting fit to a golf ball is.
I never even thought of that until you just said that. That's nuts. I mean, you get fit for clubs. Why not get fit for the ball use too?
Correct.
And
Because there are
shoes.
so many different things out there.
This has been enlightening. I love this. It went a completely different way than I thought it was going to be when I first started talking with you about coming on. But I feel like I just got a golf lesson. I hope it's for free. Because
I love it. The bill is in the mail.
perfect. Hey, okay. So what's your summer? Or what's the rest of your summer? And let's plan next year out. What's the plan for the next year and a half?
So the rest of summer is me just continuing to work on my game and kind of keeping my mind right. A lot of stuff has been canceled, and with travel restrictions, it just makes it difficult. So I've kind of ruled out this year, and I'm looking ahead to 2021. Definitely got some events, some state opens that I'm playing in, and a lot of Monday qualifiers. We got to get to the big show.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, so I got to ask you this too. Our club championships in town were over the weekend, and there's a girl who's really good. She played like in Alabama. She just had a baby, and she played 7 rounds this year. She won the tournament, the club championship. She's just that good. But her handicap, she shoots a 148, but her net becomes a 150. Why is that?
Now her handicap is a
she shot a 148. It grows.
Okay.
And then each day though, her handicap added a stroke, so she ended up with a 150 net.
Oh yeah, so if I don't know her handicap,
It's like scratch.
but it's scratch. So however they're doing the scoring, a lot of times with the new handicap system, so with my guys that I play with on Tuesdays, I play as a scratch, but I actually get penalized, so it makes me act like I'm a +1.
So that's exactly what happened to her.
Yeah. And that's the new scoring system. That's the world handicap instead of the USGA handicap we've always had. And they do that because it's not based on slope rating like it used to be.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. That's I was talking to her about it on Sunday. I'm like, how in the heck did you shoot gross lower than your net?
Right. But that's because our handicaps are screwing us.
That is awesome. Hey, Amanda, I appreciate the time. You're welcome on the show anytime. And next time I get to Phoenix, I'm going to look you up, get a lesson, and hopefully I can shoot under 80 for the first time.
Yes, I love it. Thank you for having me.
If there's anything you want to get added, you just text me and let me know, and we'll throw you on.
Okay, sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. That is Amanda Robertson, PGA or future LPGA star, joining us here on the Jason Walker Show via Airlink on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. Appreciate her joining us today. Man, that was awesome. She killed it, and it's enlightening, and that's why I was able to get her on the air and have this conversation, because it's different. It's something positive. And as a golfer, I hope you learned something. You got a free lesson, folks, from a future LPGA star. But that's interesting. Think about that. Is you're a guy, and we all know guys. They all have egos on the golf course. I can crush it 350 yards. but then you can't. So you look at your approach shot, like she said, as your most important shot almost. But then if you're a guy, emulate your swing like some of the LPGA stars. Your body size compared to some of these LPGA stars. You look at that, that's awesome. And when you think of it that way, and it helps slow down your game mentally, you'll be a better golfer. Appreciate Amanda joining us. That was super cool. All right, we're going to come back. When we do, I want to keep talking about this fairness in the stands. Do we have fairness in the stands? Also, I have a question for the Frontier Conference, and maybe one of you can answer it. And it's a legit question. We got the walk-off coming up, some news out of Missoula, and a whole lot more still to come here on the Jason Walker Show. That segment brought to you by our friends at Ruckers Furniture. Make the quality choice for your home at Ruckers Furniture. 1010 Dearborn. Helena, coming right back.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Ruckers Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Ruckers, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $289. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Ruckers Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Dinner's Done Right is open and ready for you to stop in and stock up for the summer. How does a Big Sky flank steak sound? Or a sage roasted pork loin? June's menu also includes a Parmesan tilapia and a variety of fantastic chicken cuisines and more. And if that's not enough, Dinner's Done Right's Grab and Go Soup, Salad, and Nacho Bar is back as well, with one exception. The delightful staff now will make it for you. And don't forget deliveries to Bozeman and Great Falls on select days. Stop in at 1212 Cedar Street in Helena or visit dinnersdoneright.com.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Mike Miller in Helena today. Do you love to look at photos of Montana, from animals to landscapes and more? Are you looking for a place to get your senior pictures or family portraits done? Are you a business owner looking to upgrade the decor in your offices? Well, look no further than Mark LaRoe Photography. Mark has been shooting beautiful photos all across the Treasure State, from rodeos to portraits, and would love to work with you. Visit marklaroephotography.com to see many masterpieces of his work, then give him a call to schedule your own photo shoot. Or to purchase one of his fantastic pieces, stop by Spirit of the Big Sky Gallery on Custer in Helena. marklaroephotography.com.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
Segment brought to you by Mark LaRoe Photography. Check him out, and I'm telling you, unbelievable photos. You need to purchase some Mark LaRoe. Put it up in your house. I mean, you look at this one behind me. Okay, we got to switch the camera angle again. Hold on. Good Lord, Jason. Figure it out. Learn what you're doing. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do this. Move the camera, and we're going to put it right there. Hey, there you go. That photo right there behind me, that is a Mark LaRoe original. Taken July 3rd in Ennis this year. And that's for sale on Mark's website. Okay? marklaroephotography.com. You'll get 20% off any purchase if you mention the Jason Walker Show. And also, book your senior or family portraits and get a free 8x10 canvas or matte print by mentioning the show. Because people actually do listen and watch the show, regardless of what a couple of guys on Twitter want to think. And I appreciate all of our viewers and all of our great sponsors. All right, so we started talking about this earlier in the show. Missoula County won't have fans in the stands for any of their fall sporting events, assuming we have fall sports. Helena in Lewis and Clark County, you can't. And I think up in Flathead right now as well. Why is that fair? Not just the Missoula schools, but other schools. And is it that important as a parent for you to be there? To normal answer would be yes. The year my son played football at Helena High, I missed most varsity games and every JV game except for like one, because I was usually doing Carroll games or on the road getting ready for a Carroll game. And that sucked. But that's our life. We made it work. And it was great. But why as a Helena parent would you not want Missoula parents to have the same opportunity as you? And it's a question I posed on Facebook yesterday, or on Twitter rather, at Jay Walker Sports. You can go read some of the results. Comments, which went a completely different way. But it's a legit question, I think. And that, I don't know what the answer is. Do you leave it up to the city county health departments? Do you leave it up to MHSA to come in and make a blanket statement that, okay, if these communities cannot have fans in the stands, then nobody will? And I get it. The smaller levels, is that fair too? But it's a legitimate question. And again, I ask a lot of questions that nobody has an answer to for this show. And if you think you do, let's bring you on and discuss it. I'd love to get some thoughts from the listeners on this. You can call into the show. My number's on the Facebook page. But just something to think about. Here's another question I have. And I posed this today on Facebook and Twitter. Why are you moving volleyball to the spring but not football? Now, I know what the answer is. It includes, so to be inclusive, to include the University of Providence volleyball, which is your defending conference champion. And Providence is going online only for the fall semester, so they're not going to be able to have any of their fall sports, which includes golf, volleyball, soccer. But all that has been moved to the spring anyway. Now, Providence doesn't have football yet. But if you're so inclusive in the frontier to include Providence volleyball, why then do you not show the same respect to College of Idaho, Southern Oregon, and Eastern Oregon football? They had to move to the spring in July when the Cascade moved all fall sports to the spring. Remember, we had Commissioner of the Cascade, Rob Cashel, on back in July. And they consulted with the Frontier about making this decision. And we talked to Kent Paulson about it a couple of weeks ago. We'll have to get him back on. We talked to him last week. But there was no real answer. But if you're going to be inclusive to include volleyball from Providence, why not show the same respect? Move your football to the spring to include College of Idaho, your defending conference champion, by the way, who's won, 16 of the last 17 games or 15 of the last 16, including, 14, 15 in a row last year? Southern Oregon, traditional powerhouse out of the Frontier. Eastern Oregon has a deep history and made a deep playoff run a few years ago. So if you're the Frontier and you want to be so inclusive, why can't you then include those other three schools that are normally in the Cascade, but the associate membership? Now, the Cascade thought of the Frontier when they moved soccer to the spring. They included the Frontier. They didn't just leave the Frontier teams hanging out, Rocky, Carroll, and Providence. They included them with that move. So here's the question. And we talked to Kent Paulson about this last week. He said the Frontier still gets an automatic qualifier, which is news because you're supposed to have 6-member teams, and the way the Frontier football is planning is only going to be 5 this fall. But if, let's say, Western goes 7-1 and wins the Frontier Conference this fall, assuming they get to play games. But then in the spring, when, let's just say, College of Idaho goes 8-0 by playing Division II and SOU and EOU and Division III schools, and they run the table. Well, are they going to be included as a Frontier team? Kent Paulson said, yeah. But how do you tell Western that they're not the champion anymore because C of I won it? See where we're going with this? If you want to be all inclusive to the University of Providence volleyball, which is great, absolutely wonderful. Your defending conference champ should have a chance to defend its conference title. But why not for football then? You can weigh in. Facebook, email, jasonwalkersports@gmail.com. You can tweet it. Some news out of Missoula today as well. It's a saga. So Brian Schwayen resigned as the head of the UM track and field program. And you remember a few months ago, his wife Shannon not retained as the head women's basketball coach. Schwayen has been the head coach for the last 12 years. He's been with the program since '94. But, the Helena High dude went to MSU, one of the best decathletes ever. But he resigned today. And he said that, the resignation was his own doing. He's a good coach. He's one heck of a dude. And it's not surprising that he resigned. He told Skyline Sports, maybe it was in a press release, but he said, due to current circumstances, a lot has happened, quote, a lot has happened in the last 5 months in both the world and with my family. Due to current circumstances, I feel it's best that I look at opportunities presented to me to leave the department and the team, end quote. So we wish him the best. He's one of the best ever in the state of Montana as a track coach and as an athlete. Man, we used to joke when him and Shannon, then Kate, got married was which Cats or Grizz, and they ended up being Grizz because they both coached there. But when you looked at those kids, like, did the recruiting battle start as soon as Brian and Shannon got married? Because of the athleticism in those kids, holy cow! And you see it. You see it both on the basketball court, volleyball, track. Now the girls have had some injuries, which is horrendous. But crazy. We wish them the best, the family. NCAA officially canceled false championships. Okay, D2, D3 already did it, but that means the FCS is not going to have anything to play for. The FBS, the college football playoff, is separate from the NCAA. So these schools that think they're going to play this fall in the SEC, ACC, Big 12, and a couple other smaller division or conferences, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the FBS college football playoff does. But yeah. What else did we want to hit on here before we get to the walk-off? Like I said, I this is a serious question, and if somebody wants to answer it, you could tweet, Facebook, or email me. But if you want to be so inclusive to include Providence in the Frontier, why not show the same respect to College of Idaho, SOU, and EOU? They showed you respect out of the Cascade for soccer, and how will they crown the champ? We'll get Kent Paulson back on. He's a great friend of the show. But when we had him on last week, he did not make these calls yet because, well, they still hadn't moved a lot. But the Frontier, anticipate the Frontier moving to the spring. They're going to have to. Once kids come back to campus, they're not going to be able to play. And the big sicknesses are going to happen right before the first game, September 19th. So keep that in mind. All right, let's get to on this day in history. It is August the 13th. It is National Left-Handers Day, so congrats to the kid, my son, Bob. He's left-handed. It is National Filet Mignon Day and Prosecco Day. 1906 on this date, Cubs pitcher Jack Taylor ends a string of completing 202 games. 187 complete, 15 in relief. 1910, the Dodgers and the Pirates played to an 8-8 tie. So don't let anybody tell you that the All-Star game of what 15 years ago was ruined because it was a tie. There's been ties in Major League Baseball before. Dodgers and Pirates played to an 8-8 tie on this date, 1910. They both would have 38 at-bats, 13 hits, 12 assists, 2 errors, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, 1 pass ball, a hit by pitch, and a partridge in a pear tree. 1919, the only time that Man o' War would lose. The American Thoroughbred Racehorse Star upset beat Man o' War at Saratoga. 1948, U.S. defends its Olympic basketball title, a 65-21 win over France in London. Jim Palmer had a no-hitter for Baltimore on this date, 1969. Payne Stewart won the first of his 3 majors on this date in 1989. 1993, you know how, are you superstitious with your numbers? I always was when I played. A lot of guys are. Toronto Blue Jay Ricky Henderson paid Turner Ward $25,000 so he could have his number 24 jersey. Crazy. In 2008, Michael Phelps won 3 gold medals, all in world record time, all in one day in Beijing. There's nobody better. Is that official, McIntyre? Just got a text message. Hang on, we're going to do some research here. We might be on the air a little bit longer here. Is that legit? I've just got a message. I want to confirm this before we talk about it. Wow. Big news if true. All right, let's finish on this day. 2016, then, Michael Phelps would end his career in Rio with his 23rd record, a record 23rd gold medal. So it's going to be official. It appears any minute now. The Frontier, no football this fall. So they are going to try to move to the spring, it looks like. All right, there you go. Yep, just got the second confirmation. Football in the Frontier moving to the spring. That's a smart decision by the presidents and the board of directors. I mean, that is absolutely big news. So breaking news here on the Jason Walker Show. The Frontier Conference is for sure moving to the spring. I got 2 confirmations on that, and it's a done deal. They will try to play in the spring. Yep, there it is. All right, so there you go. That's why we stay on the air sometimes after 5 o'clock. As we try to put it out there. Breaking news, the Frontier Conference moving to the spring. Not going to have fall football. And it makes sense, folks. It makes sense. It makes sense. Now, if high school will do the same thing, it would even make more sense. And here's why. On the eve of high school football in Utah, the 5th-ranked team in the state was supposed to play tomorrow, but 3 players tested positive for COVID. So Bingham and South Jordan will not play against Weber. Salt Lake Tribune reported last night. And Harriman was supposed to take on Davis as well. But there you go. So this is too. If someone in Utah, which now 3 players have tested positive, someone in Utah tests positive, those teams, had they played, but the one team for sure, and then they enter in, the entire team goes into a 14-day quarantine rather than just one player. So we talked about this with Kyle Mihelish on Tuesday. If Capital plays at Glacier and someone tests positive the next week, well, that affects both teams and then their second week opponents. You see where the trickle down goes? So at some point, every team is going to have it or be quarantined Kind of like Major League Baseball has been the last few, in July with the St. Louis Cardinals, who still haven't played more than 5 games. Everybody else has played almost 20. There you go. So it is official. The Frontier Conference is moving to the spring. So there you go. We got our breaking news here on the Jason Walker Show. Once in a while it happens. We stay after 5. That's why we do it. Because everything dumps at 5 o'clock. So there you go. All right, let's happy birthdays today, by the way. Annie Oakley, born on this date in 1860. Alfred Hitchcock, 1899. Ben Hogan in 1912. John Facenda was born on this date in 1913. You know the voice. He was the guy from NFL Films. John Facenda. He was awesome, man. 1991, Jack Ryan died. Who's Jack Ryan? He not only invented the Barbie doll, he invented the Hot Wheels. 1995, Mickey Mantle died on this date. Just got a great text message from a good friend. So there was a complete just Jack on the Facebook today. Given he was threatening me with punch-ins and all sorts of stuff. He's gonna be so pissed that the Frontier Conference moves to the spring. Yay, I win. I didn't even have to do nothing. I love it. All right. This segment brought to you by... Oh my gosh, I love what we do. Brought to you by Mark Leroux Photography. Check him out, marklerouxphotography.com.
We're almost at the end of the show. What did we learn? And what did he miss? Time for the walk-off.
Sorry about your luck, Doug. But Jason wins. Oh, that is a text message from a friend of mine. Love it. What did we get to today? What did we miss? Let's stop talking about moving the Major League Baseball playoffs to Montana. It's not going to happen. Let's be realistic about this. We don't know what the weather's going to be like. You want Major League Baseball to move their playoffs to the Montana? Get real. Stop. Just stop. I love this. I grew up here. I'm born and raised state of Montana. Born and raised. Love Montana. But there's no feasible way for Major League Baseball. Where are you going to play it? Some minor league stadium? And we have a couple of beautiful ones in the state, but come on. You can't put them in a bubble. And speaking of bubbles, we ran out of time Wednesday, so tomorrow we're going to look at the possibility of playing college basketball in bubbles. It might be more real than you think. We'll chat about it tomorrow. Also tomorrow, Lance Hertzler will join us, or Hartzler rather, from Northern Arizona, beat writer. Big Sky Conference schools are doing something to its students that doesn't sit right with a few people. Nicole Ragioni will join us from Pac-12 Network. Thanks to Amanda Robertson for joining us today. You can follow her on Facebook, Amanda Robertson Golfer. Got a free golf lesson. How awesome is that today? We'll do it again tomorrow. Oh, hey, the little one's here. She just scared me. She's got her pirate booty. Scott Evans, by the way, head coach of Helena High, loves pirate booty. He told Winnie that yesterday. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 as we wrap up the week.
The Jason Walker Show is produced by the Jason Walker Media Company. Any reuse, rebroadcast, or retransmission without the express written consent of the Jason Walker Show is strictly prohibited. Just listen, watch, and enjoy.